free enterprise-oriented think tank in Washington, D.C., called the American Enterprise Institute. Some people know about it. And when I left, I was 55 years old. I said, okay, what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
And every 10 years, I take my whole career down to the studs. I have what's called a spiral career. So it's like a classical musician, and then academic, and then CEO of this think tank. And I'm going to do the next thing. What is it going to be? So I spent 6 months thinking about it for 15 minutes a day. That's the discipline. So the Buddhists call it panna, which is a word in Pali. And the sunesis, the ancient Greeks would talk about. They're looking for the divine knowledge on the basis of finding one's through ethical discernment. The discernment of spirits in the Catholic tradition. I spent 15 minutes a day, and I wrote a mission statement for myself, which was this. I'm going to spend the rest of my life lifting people up and bringing them together in bonds of happiness and love using science and ideas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know what it's going to look like, but that's what I'm going to do. And then I started doing that and tried to make it magnetic so that people who could use it and would find it winsome and would find it helpful would approach me. That was what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And maybe I was going to sit in a shack by myself, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the phone was going to ring. And the latter happened. So I started off by, I took a position at Harvard, and I said, I want to teach this thing that's based on my mission. They said, take a shot.
Yeah.
We've never done that before. At the business school?
Yeah.
Right? And the whole point was leaders should be happiness teachers.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make just happier leaders. I want leaders to be happiness teachers because that's leverage for this particular mission. And it was popular. And then went to the Atlantic and started this column 4 years ago. And they're like, how many columns do you do on happiness? Like 1 million.
Yeah.
Because everything is a possible, as you know. And what happened was that it turned out that when you have the right mission, and the mission is outwardly focused on lifting other people up, then if it's right and at the right time, people will approach it.
Yeah.
And so I went from a supply mission of here's some whiz-bang policy ideas, what do you say, to a demand focus, which is here's this thing, do you want it? I have an idea on how to live better. I have an idea on how you can be happier. I have an idea how you can lift other people up. And I offered it up to the universe. I said, want it? And maybe not. But it turns out they did.
Yeah.
It turns out they did. And that's ultimately what we all have to make a living.
Yeah.
We all have to make a living. But each one of us has an opportunity to offer something up to the universe in a spirit of love, in a spirit of giving. And it was my great mission to do something like that. And I hadn't really done it before because it was a little bit too much about me.